Coach, you had kind of a nice week of practice. Now you're playing Ferris State again. What did you learn last go round that you're going to implement this time?
Well, they're a much improved team over last year. That's the thing that sticks out the most, and they're coming off of a sweep up at Bemidji, which obviously gives them a bunch of confidence. So I think from a mental standpoint, they're in a good place. They have confidence. We had a week off and got a chance to recharge our batteries, so we know it's going to be difficult. So we faced them. We can take some things away from that first series, and that they're in every game every weekend. So we're going to need to be prepared, and they're a team that's looks to be getting better as the year goes on.
How helpful is that week off at this point in the season just to get folks healthy and just kind of, like you said, recharge?
Yeah, we think it came at a pretty good time. We played late into the holiday. Like we played finals week, and our guys got a short break, and then we came back and played in the tournament. So it wasn't like our guys had a huge stretch off. And now, we've got 5 regular season weeks left, and then playoffs. So it's nice to have a little bit of a break before we just go until they tell us we can't go anymore. So we felt like it came at a good time.
With Nathan kind of being a finalist for the Hobie Baker Trophy, just how big a deal is that?
It's a big deal, and obviously, our last home series we recognized Brian Holzinger on Brian Holzinger bobblehead night, and he's one of our 2 Hobie Baker winners. So we know that it's not an easy award to win. We know that we've had some great players here that have won it, and some great players that have been in the conversation and haven't won it. So for Nathan to be in the conversation is really cool for Nathan. He's put himself in a position as far as, he's in the top however many 5, 6 guys in goals in the country, and he still has a lot of games ahead of him. So it's great for us, and it's great for Nathan to be in that conversation for sure.
Salvatore Evola, the addition of him, expected still? Where's that whole process at?
He is officially admitted. He was officially admitted into the university last week as a full-time student, and that was what was holding it up. You have to be a enrolled full-time, and because he started a week late, it wasn't the normal process. He had to actually go to classes and ask teachers, hey, would you allow me to come into your class, versus just register online like everybody else. So he went through that process last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We had a bunch of people on campus that were more than willing to help out in a emergency situation, so we're very appreciative of that. And so he was able to get enrolled and be a full-time student last Friday, and started with us this week.
So tell us a little bit about him. What does he bring to the team, and what kind of a goaltender is he?
Well, he's from the Detroit area, played at Country Day High School up there, won a state championship for them, was Michigan Player of the Year up there, has had a really, really good high school career up there, has been in junior hockey in the North American League the last few years, and was having a really good year. And our process to narrow the focus, to try to see, our first question was, are we going to be able to bring in another guy at this time? With school already being started, and we weren't sure, and so we started going through a list of guys that we thought might be potential, and started to make calls. And we're very fortunate to have landed on Sam, and our interest in him and his interest in us was important, and to get it all done so quickly was really, really something that we didn't anticipate. What will he bring? He's a very competitive young man, a really, really hard worker, a really, really good student, has never shied away from any challenge, always one of those guys that has earned everything he's gotten. So we told him we had an opportunity, and he said, I'm willing to give it everything I have, Coach. So in our brief time with him, we've seen that from him. He's very competitive. He's not the biggest goalie we have, more along the lines of Eric Dopp in terms of style and size. Really skates well, moves laterally real well. So we're happy he's here, that's for sure. It certainly provides some much needed depth for us at that position.
How's that whole process work then? Because some people might look at it as, how are they adding a goaltender mid-season? And with the semester starting, I'm sure that helps things. But how's that whole process work out?
It starts with an unfortunate injury to Zach. So that happens, and then our first priority was, all right, let's get through this weekend before we figure out where we're at. So we get through the weekend, and then we have conversations with Zach about Zach's what's in Zach's best interest. He's got a labrum tear in his hip, which is an injury that is unfortunately common to goaltenders. And it's going to require surgery. And as we talk through things with Zach and talk through things with doctors and Zach's family, it's a 4 to 6 month recovery process for Zach. And so Zach's priority needs to be his own health in order for him to be 100% healthy and come back and be the best version of himself next year. The sooner he gets that surgery, the better. So once we came to that conclusion and thought that was in Zach's best interest, then we go to, okay, we're going to need to find another goalie. So what we started doing was looking at goalies born in 2001, because those are goalies in their last year of junior hockey eligibility. Obviously, we're not going to take a kid who's in high school because he can't leave high school, right? He's got to graduate from high school. So we take a kid who's an 01, who's not committed to another Division I institution. So you start with this big pool of kids, and then all of a sudden it gets narrow real quick when you talk about kids who are 01. And the reason we focused on 01 is most kids that have junior hockey eligibility aren't just going to leave. They think they can earn a scholarship or become a full-time guy at another place. And so we narrowed it down, and we felt like it needed to be an American kid, because international kids would have been really difficult to get him enrolled in school that quickly. So that took any Canadian goalies out of the mix. So we were focused on American kids, and then we focused on, he was from Michigan. We had another young man who was an Ohio kid that we talked to, and he wasn't willing to leave his junior team. And as we got talking to Sam about the opportunity, he was interested. And the opportunity, the way we put it to him, and I'll be 100% honest, we said, we can promise you that you will be the backup goalie for the rest of this year. All right? That's what we can promise you. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict what next year looks like. Obviously we want Zach's surgery to go as well as it can, and we want Sam to come in here and do as well as he can and all that kind of stuff. But I can't predict the future, but we can guarantee you will come in and you'll be our backup right away that first weekend we play. And that was something that he felt good about. He's known about Bowling Green. He's been here before. His high school team came here. His high school coach has a history of with our program, so it was comfortable, and he was familiar with it. So it was an easy choice for him to come. I won't say easy, because it was difficult to walk away from to leave his junior team in the middle of the year. His coach there was really supportive of Zach. That he said that's our job, to get guys to the next level, and Sam can do that. So we got through that process, and then it was just try to find him a place to live, try to find him classes, try to get him a physical, all these kind of things. It was we'd go and then we'd wait, and then we'd go and then we'd wait, and then ultimately we got the go ahead to get him in practice. So I think things have slowed down for him, but really there weren't a lot of options. And had it happened this weekend, I don't know. I think we would have been in a more difficult spot, because I don't know if we can add a person into school past the second week of school. So the timing of everything was a big piece to this.
Just because of that second semester starting right away?
Yeah. Had we been into week 3, I don't think the university would have been okay admitting a kid, any student for that matter, whether it's a student athlete or not. I just think within 2 weeks is when they will allow someone to register, and if professors are willing to add them, they will go that far. But after 2 weeks, I don't think it would have been possible.
For those that may not understand, these mid-season ads, things that happen like this, is that a commonality in college hockey? How's the whole thing?
It really isn't, and if it had been any other position, we'd have probably been fine with it. But it's funny, this year we had Jack Blake at semester, and that had to do with COVID and his league in Ontario being shut down, and Jack was coming anyway and had already been admitted. He deferred his enrollment, all that kind of stuff. So that was an easy one. This one was just different because of the position, right? We've had 3 goalies as long as I've been here for 12 years. Knock on wood, we've not had any significant injuries to any of them. This year we just happened to. And once in a while you'll hear stories about a college hockey team having to go through a bunch of goalies because something like this happens. I know Ohio State had a situation 5 or 6 years ago where they went through, I think, 5 goalies in a year. Just crazy stuff. Our next potential would have probably been talking to the club guy about coming and practicing for the rest of the year, and then we figure it out, But it's not something that anybody wishes. If you look across college hockey, the 61 Division I programs, there are very, very few that have more than 3 goalies. It's 3 goalies, and you usually have 2 that play and a third, and and that's where we were at, and we just needed to have the depth.
With Zach, you mentioned it's a hip labrum. Is it left or right? And then is he expected to get surgery soon? What's the timetable?
I believe it's left, if I remember right, and he has had his follow-up, and he has an appointment with the surgeon today to set up the date to have the surgery. So if you ask Zach when he wants it done, he wants it done yesterday to start his rehab and start his road to recovery. But he does have an appointment today with the surgeon, and so we're anticipating that happening pretty quick.
Any questions on the Zoom?
Coach, I know you said for Salvador, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, but for this season only, can you see him maybe getting a start or two?
He asked me that question just in terms of his overall eligibility. You know, if he gets into a game, does he lose a year of eligibility and all that kind of stuff? I didn't know that answer off the top of my head because I know it's a percentage of games played. I don't know how that works when you start midseason. Right now, Christian Stover is starting on Friday, and the plan would be for Christian to continue to do so. So I can't predict whether Sam will start a game or not start a game. But right now, the opportunity we presented to him was to come in and be Christian Stover's backup and push and try to prove himself as a potential replacement for Zach when Zach graduates.
Also, at the end of that game against Michigan State, of course, there was majors, game misconducts handed out after the game. Is there going to be any league discipline from whatever happened after the game?
There is no supplemental discipline based on what happened after the game against Bemidji. We thought there was the potential for that to happen, but it did not. I talked with the referee in chief and talked with a lot of people about the end of that game. Obviously, we were really excited that Sam scored, but we need to also make better decisions in terms of making sure we're not putting ourselves in a situation where something like that could allow or could force somebody to be suspended for a game in the future. I didn't think anything was that serious at the end of the day. You know, there was some pushing and shoving and a lot of guys talking, but I didn't think anything warranted a bunch of majors, but that's my opinion.